All right, good morning. Thank you so much for your patience as we waited for a few members to come in. I'd like to call the joint meeting of the Senate Finance and Assembly Ways and Means Committee to order. Welcome to our first, but not last, Saturday morning meeting. I would like to welcome everyone joining us here in Carson City and in Las Vegas and online. I am Senator Marilyn Dondero Loop, and I will be chairing the meeting today. And will the secretary please call the roll?
Assemblymember Anderson. Assemblymember Backus. Assemblymember Brown May. Assemblymember Dickman. Assemblymember Hathen. Assemblymember Hibbets. Assemblymember Howdigi. Assemblymember Koenig. Assemblymember Mosca. Assemblymember O'Neill. Assemblymember Torres Fawcett. Assemblymember Watts. Assemblymember Yeager. Senator Buck. Senator Cannizzaro. Senator Neal. Senator Wen. Senator Stone. Senator Taylor. Senator Titus. Assemblymember Monroe Moreno. Chair Dondero Loop.
Thank you very much. And will you please mark Assemblymember Mosca absent, excused? And I think everyone's here, so we don't need to wait for anyone. Thank you very much. Before we move on to today's budget closings, I would like to go over the housekeeping items. I'd like to remind all committee members and audience members to please mute or turn off your electronic devices. And if you will be providing testimony today, please remember to state your name and spell it for the record. And if you have a business card, please hand it to the committee secretary. There will be a public comment period at the end of today's meeting. Today we have 4 agencies on the agenda for a budget closing, and then we have 3 subcommittee reports to review. We'll follow the order on the agendas, so we'll start with budget closings and begin with the governor's office, then go to the Secretary of State's office, then Public Employees Retirement System, and finally to the Department of Native American Affairs. After the budget closings, we'll have staff present subcommittee reports for the Department of Taxation, State Public Charter School Authority, and Tahoe Regional Planning Agency. Since this will be the committee's first time reviewing subcommittee reports this session, I'd like to briefly remind committee members of the process. Staff from LCB Fiscal Analysis Division will present the reports that include the subcommittee's closing recommendations for a particular state agency. And some of you will not have been on that subcommittee where the agency's budget was heard and closed. So this is your opportunity to ask questions before a vote is taken, to either accept or alter the subcommittee's closing recommendations. Just like in the subcommittee closings, votes on the subcommittee reports are counted by House, which means an individual motion may pass in one House and not the other. Any closing differences between the Houses will be resolved at a later issue. So we'll begin first with the governor's office, and Ms. Crockett from the Fiscal Analysis Division will take the committee through the closing document starting on page 3. Thank you so much, Ms. Crockett, and go ahead when you are ready.
Thank you, Kathy Crockett, Fiscal Analysis Division. Today I will be presenting 4 budgets for the governor's office. The first budget is the budget for the Office of the Governor. This includes the funding for the governor himself as well as his staff. There's one major closing issue, and that is funding for non-classified positions. We did receive a budget amendment on funding for non-classified positions, so I will walk briefly through the budget as submitted and then the amendment. The staff of the Office of the Governor and the Governor's Mansion are not in the classified and unclassified service of the state, and the governor is able to determine the number and salaries of those individuals employed within the limits of money available for that purpose. This is referred to as non-classified staffing. Regarding the base budget as recommended, it includes salary authority of $3.4 million per year for 24 non-classified positions supported by general funds, including $900,000 approved through Senate Bill 431 last session for governor's office staff. And this also is inclusive of legislatively approved cost of living adjustments. It does exclude the governor, and there are also 4 positions supported by other funding sources in the base budget. The $3.4 million in the base budget is comprised of $2.7 million for specific positions in both years and approximately $650,000 per year in combined salary and benefit costs that were not allocated to specific positions. Regarding decision units E499 and E599, the governor's office currently has funding for 4 positions, including 1 contractor supported by American Rescue Plan Act recovery funds. And those are comprised of a deputy director that serves as the governor's liaison with various state agencies, a press assistant who assists with communications on media matters, a deputy general counsel who assists with legal matters as well as public records issues, an infrastructure and economic development coordinator who works in conjunction with departments responsible for transportation, water, broadband, as well as energy issues. This position is currently contracted, and the budget as originally recommended did propose to move that contractor to a state position. Decision Unit E599 recommends a total of about $463,000 per year for salaries for 4 positions as reflected on the table on page 4. If the governor's original recommendation was approved, general fund support for salaries in the governor's office would have increased by 13.7% from $3.4 million to $3.9 million per year. During the budget hearing, the agency discussed the fact that it had not fully utilized the salary funding approved through Senate Bill 431 due to delays in filling positions as well as staff turnover. There was discussion regarding salary funding in the budget that had not been allocated to specific positions, and testimony did indicate that adjustments would be necessary to more appropriately account for staff in the governor's office. The governor's office submitted budget amendment A254311000 to revise staff salaries, remove funding that had not been allocated to specific position salaries, move operating costs from a special use category to standard operating categories, change the funding source for 3 rather than 4 positions currently supported with ARPA funds, and replace 1 state position that is currently funded with ARPA funds with a contract position. And these changes result in general fund savings of approximately $304,000 in fiscal year 2026 and $306,000 in fiscal year 2027. The base budget as amended includes salary authority of $2.9 million per year for 24 non-classified positions supported by general funds. All funding for that was not allocated to specific positions has been removed. Attachment A on page 9 of your packet does display the salaries and position titles as reflected in the budget amendment. These base budget changes result in net general funds reductions of approximately $740,000 over the biennium. Decision Unit E599 as amended would change the funding source for 3 rather than 4 positions as originally recommended, thereby eliminating 1 state FTE in this account and transferring operating costs associated with these positions to standard operating categories from special use categories. Additional general funds in Decision Unit E599 as amended total approximately $712,000 in fiscal year 2026 and $710,000 in fiscal year 2027, which is approximately $130,000 more than originally recommended by the governor. There is a table on page 5 which reflects the position titles that are recommended to continue with general funds, and the duties of those positions are the same as was previously discussed in the original budget submittal. The contract position that I previously mentioned has a cost of about $204,000 per fiscal year, and this position would serve as a state infrastructure coordinator and focus on issues related to infrastructure development as well as economic development work. In summary, if the recommendation as amended is approved, total general fund support for salaries would decrease by $117,000 per year, that is 3.4%, from the $3.4 million legislatively approved for the current biennium, including cost of living adjustments to $3.3 million per year over the biennium. If the committees approve the amended budget, there would be overall general fund savings of approximately $610,000 over the biennium compared to the budget as originally submitted. Do the committees wish to approve Decision Unit E499, E599, Budget Amendment A2 $5,431,1000 for net general fund savings of $304,492 in fiscal year 2026 and $306,396 in 2027 when compared to the governor's recommended budget as originally submitted.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on this budget? Then I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I motion that we approve this decision unit as stated by staff.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Motion by Assemblymember Danielle Monroe Moreno, and second by Senator Nguyen. And are there any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Please go on.
There are 5 other closing items in this budget. Fiscal staff recommends the other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Any questions? I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I motion that we approve other closing items to be closed as recommended by the governor and request authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Monroe Moreno, second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll go on.
Kathy Crockett, Fiscal Analysis Division. The next budget is the Governor's Office of Federal Assistance. This starts on page 11 of your packet, and this office provides various grant-related support for state agencies. The major closing issue is related to the Nevada Grant Matching Program. The Office of Federal Assistance administers the Nevada Grant Matching Program, which provides matching funds for competitive federal grants for state agencies, local governments, tribal governments, and nonprofit organizations. The program is funded through the grant matching account, which receives $1 million per fiscal year from the Abandoned Property Trust account, with remaining funding reverting at the end of odd-numbered fiscal years. The grant matching account is not reflected in the executive budget. During the budget hearing, it was discussed that the agency had only expended approximately $6,000 to date over the biennium. On April 4th, an additional $1.1 million was expended from the grant matching account to provide funds for the Truckee-Carson Irrigation District, leaving approximately $900,000 in funding available for the program over the remainder of fiscal year 2025. At the budget hearing, the timing of providing matching funds to the program applicants was discussed. The agency indicated that the provisions of Nevada Revised Statute 223492, which requires that funding in the grant matching account revert to the general fund at the end of odd numbers fiscal years, does reduce the effectiveness of the program, given that the length of time from when a match request is submitted to the program to when a federal notice of grant award is issued can be months or perhaps even years. The reversion of funding at the end of a biennium may disincentivize agencies from seeking matching funds from the program, since funding may not be available in the grant matching account by the time the notice of grant award is received. To approve the effectiveness of the program, the committees may wish to consider requesting a bill draft to amend NRS 223492 to specify that funding in the grant matching account does not revert to the general fund at the end of odd-numbered fiscal years and instead carries forward to the next fiscal year. Do the committees wish to request a bill draft to amend NRS 223492 to specify that funding in the grant matching account does not revert to the general fund at the end of odd-numbered fiscal years and instead carries forward to the next fiscal year?
Thank you very much. I tried to do your job for a minute. Thank you very much. Any discussion? With that, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And in hearing the statement from staff, part of the motion will be that I will be willing to do the bill draft to amend NRS 223.472 to specify that funding in the grant matching account does not revert to the general fund at the end of odd-numbered fiscal years and instead carries forward to the next fiscal year.
Thank you very much. Second from Senator Nguyen. And with that, any discussion? Assemblymember Hibbets.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make sure I understand the motion. It might just be my hearing because of my allergies, but I thought I heard NRS 223.472 when listed as 492. I just want to make sure that I heard incorrectly.
I believe you heard incorrectly, but if I did say a 7, I meant NRS 223.492.
Thank you. I appreciate the
Thank
clarification.
you.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? All right, with that, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Please continue.
There are 7 other closing items in this account. Fiscal staff recommends the other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I motion that we approve this decision union as stated by staff.
Second.
Thank you very much. Motion by Assemblymember Monroe Moreno, second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries, and we'll move on.
Staff would note that the governor did recommend transferring this office from the office of the governor to the governor's office of finance. However, there is no budgetary impact. Therefore, that decision will be considered when SB 456 or other legislation is considered. The next budget is the governor's mansion maintenance. The committees have not previously reviewed this budget. The mansion maintenance budget provides funding for staffing, operation, and maintenance of the governor's mansion in Carson City. One major closing issue was identified subsequent to the budget hearing based on a budget amendment received, and that is funding for non-classified positions. As previously mentioned in the governor's office budget, the governor employs the number and determines the number salary of staff within the limits of funding available for that purpose. Through budget amendment A 258481001 submitted by the governor's finance on April 8th, the governor recommends general funds of $89,538 over the biennium to support salaries for mansion staff. Decision Unit E811 was in the budget as originally submitted. The governor recommends general fund savings totaling $58,318 over the biennium to eliminate one position that has been vacant since January 2019. There are 3 positions in this budget, 2 full-time positions and 1 .64 FTE position, which has been vacant since 2019. The recommendation is to eliminate the part-time position and continue the 2 full-time positions and raise the salaries of the two remaining full-time positions to align with the salaries that the positions are currently receiving. There is a table on page 16 that shows the funding as legislatively approved for this biennium for salaries, and that totals $144,658 per fiscal year, and that is inclusive of the legislatively approved cost of living adjustments. And if the recommendations for the budget amendment and the eliminated position in E811 were approved, total salary funding per year would total $168,147 per fiscal year. There's a table that shows the various increases that were included in the budget amendment. Regarding the duties of the 2 positions in this budget, the executive coordinator, Governor's Mansion, is responsible for overseeing the mansion for the first family. The position also plans various meetings and events, manages public access to the mansion, and manages travel for the First Lady. The mansion assistant assists the executive coordinator with their duties and works on things such as purchasing, food preparation, and event scheduling. Do the committees wish to approve Decision Unit E811 to eliminate 1 vacant position for general fund savings of $58,318 over the biennium? And do the committees wish to approve Budget Amendment A 258481001 to align funding for non-classified position salaries with the salaries for the 2 remaining positions in this budget with the salaries they are receiving funded with general funds of $89,538 over the biennium?
Thank you very much. Is there any questions on this budget? Senator Nguyen?
I'm just wondering if you could clarify. I'm looking at some of the documentation that was provided regarding the governor's mansion salary funding, and I see there were two amounts that we had legislatively approved during the 23-25 biennium, and I see that the recommended is obviously a 22 and 36.7% increase for those two positions. If we were to accept the recommendation as you mentioned in the second part of the recommended closing recommendations, would we be agreeing to that overspend during the last biennium for those two employee positions?
My understanding is the amendment would align salaries with the salaries that positions are currently receiving at this present time.
And the salary that they're currently receiving at this present time was more than we legislatively approved. Is
Yes,
that correct?
Yes, I do believe they are using the savings from the eliminated position in E811 to fund a portion of that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Titus, did you have a question?
It's actually on the very next one regarding Carson.
Okay, well, then we will,
If I might.
oh, yeah, go
now.
ahead. Yeah.
And thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to ask a question. I'm just curious, with the dearth of medical professionals that we have in our state and everybody having to go out of state for their own health care, I'm wondering if we have a veterinarian in the state of Nevada that can do these services. Just curious, does this veterinarian, are they located in the state of Nevada, or do they have to go out of state for that amount of money we're spending? And it's a serious question.
If you'll allow staff one moment to see if there's supporting documentation.
I actually think there's somebody in Las Vegas that does this. Not within staff, but I mean a veterinarian.
Yeah. I'm just curious if it's the same situation, and you can follow up after if there's nobody here that can answer that question.
I'd be happy to follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any additional questions? All right, with that, I would accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With the discussion on this decision unit, I would move to approve decision unit E811 to eliminate one vacant position for general funding savings of $58,318 over the 25-27 biennium, and to not approve budget amendment A258481001 to align funding for non-classified position salaries with the salaries to the two remaining positions in this budget are currently receiving, funded with general funds of $89,538 over the 25-27 biennium.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Monroe Moreno. Second from Senator Wynn. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We'll move on. Thank you.
Thank you. I was able to pull up supporting documentation on the tortoises' veterinary costs, and there is a quote from a veterinarian in Reno. There is one other closing item in this budget. Fiscal staff recommends the other closing item be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would make a motion to close this as stated by staff.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Monroe Moreno. Second by Senator Wynn. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much, and we'll move on.
The last budget is Governor's Washington office. Fiscal staff is responsible for developing closing recommendations for this budget account. The committees have not previously reviewed this budget. The Governor's Washington office identifies, monitors, and provides information on selected federal issues of high priority to Nevada. There are no decision units in this budget. Fiscal staff recommends this budget be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this item? I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I motion that we recommend that this budget be closed as recommended by the governor and request authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Monroe Moreno, second by Senator Nguyen. All those, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. And now we will stop for pause for a minute. And next up is the Secretary of State's office. So we'll invite up Ms. Mangoba from LCB Fiscal. And the closing document for Secretary of State begins on page 21 of today's packet.
This directs her to just go through without reading all the boxes.
Good morning. Ms. Mangoba, the major closing issue number 1 for the budget account 1050 has many individual decision points, and so it's my intention for you to present the entire closing for the major closing issue number 1, and then the committee can have a discussion about all the different decision points. So please begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Jane Marie Mangoba from the LCB Fiscal Analysis Division, and I'm here today to present the closing document for the Secretary of State, Budget Account 1050, which starts on page 21 of your packet. This budget was heard on February 24th, and there are 2 major closing issues for this budget account. During the office's budget hearing on February 24th, the committees requested that the office identify the priority order of the budgetary enhancements in the governor's recommended budget. Based on information provided by the office in response to this request, the decision unit discussions in the closing document have been arranged in the priority order as identified by the office. I would just note that the priority order is organized by or spread across the major closing issue, and some of those you would see on the other closing item table. For the first major issue, the governor recommends general fund appropriations of $4.7 million and fee revenues of $44,451 over the 2025-27 biennium for 21 new positions in fiscal year 26 and 10 new positions in fiscal year 27. The 31 new positions are recommended by the governor to address an increase in workload, provide support for the compliance and audit team, and provide IT support for office staff, contract staff, and counties related to election infrastructure security. The table on page 22 lists the governor recommended 31 new positions in priority order as provided by the office. As some of these new positions that are recommended were due to the implementation of the Voter Registration and Election Management Solution, or commonly known as VREMS, and the Project Orion, I will provide the committee a brief overview of the 2 projects starting on page 22 to page 23. As background, Assembly Bill 422 of the 2021 legislative session requires the Secretary of State to implement a centralized top-down database that collects and stores information related to the voter pre-registration and registration from all counties, which the office refers to as the VREMS project. The 2023 legislature, through Senate Bill 484, approved one-time general fund appropriations of $25 million and authorized expenditures totaling $5.5 million from the office's HAVA elections budget account for the cost of a statewide top-down voter registration database and election management system. The office is currently working on Phase 2, which is inclusive of the merge of Clark County into the database and system used across the other 16 counties, and anticipates closing the system merger or completing the system merger prior to the 2026 election cycle. The Interim Finance Committee, at its April 3, 2025 meeting, approved the reversion of $4.5 million off the $25 million that was appropriated through SB 484 to the State General Fund. Related to the Project Orion, The 2023 legislature, through SB 485, approved one-time general fund appropriations of $15 million to the office for the cost to enhance and modify the office's business registration and filing system, which I just referred to as the Project Orion. The Interim Finance Committee, at its April 3rd, 2025 meeting, approved the reversion of $3.5 million of the $15 million that was appropriated through SB 45 to the State General Fund. The office is currently implementing Phase 1, which replaces the Uniform Commercial Code Systems, a financing document that gives people notification that there is a lien on a certain asset. The next phase is notaries and trademarks, which is anticipated to go live in the third quarter of fiscal year 26. The following information, starting on page 24, provides additional information regarding the new positions recommended by the governor. And as previously noted, these are presented in priority order. Through Decision Unit E309, the governor recommends one new master IT professional position in the Carson City office to develop and manage the information security program and provide technical guidance and support to counties related to election infrastructure security. The office temporarily contracts with a cloud security specialist position to support the implementation of the VRAMS project. However, the office indicates that establishing a long-term cloud security specialist position would ensure voter and customer information is secure and address the need to continuously develop and prioritize cloud computing. The office indicates the recommendation for the new master IT professional position is number 1 on its priority list due to the need to develop a comprehensive information security program to ensure that all state and customer data are secure. Through Decision Unit E316, the governor recommends one new IT manager position and one new IT professional position in fiscal year 27 for the Las Vegas office to develop and manage the information security program and provide technical guidance and support to counties related to election infrastructure security. The office indicates this recommendation is number 2 on its priority list due to the need to ensure voter information and election administrations are protected from cyber attack. Decision Unit E316 includes operating and equipment costs that do not align with the start date of the position, so staff would request a technical adjustment, which you can see on page 24 to correct that error. Moving on to page 25, Decision Unit E327, the governor recommends one new unclassified financial analyst position for the Las Vegas office to act as a forensic accountant that would perform forensic financial audits, which will be used in an investigative report. During the budget hearing, the office testified the Securities Division handles numerous financial statements, and the review of financial statements is currently performed by an existing compliance investigator positions, which may not have the appropriate financial background, requiring the office to seek assistance from other agencies and federal offices. The office indicates this recommendation for an unclassified financial analyst position is number 4 on its priority list to allow the office to pursue fraudulent accounts, build cases, and achieve better results in prosecution of securities fraud cases. I will now move on to the 2 positions for the HR division, Decision Unit E300 at the bottom of page 25. The governor recommends one new personnel technician position and one new personnel analyst position for the Las Vegas office to address an increasing workload in human resource division and enable the team to manage and respond to employee concerns and issues. The office indicates its human resource division has received an increased volume of employee concerns and inquiries that are not being addressed in a timely manner, and has a backlog in providing HR services, including but not limited to leave tracking, employee status change, and audit of mandatory training and employee evaluations. The office currently does not have an HR presence in Las Vegas, and the recommendation for this position would provide a dedicated HR personnel in the Las Vegas office. The office indicates this recommendation is number 5 on its priority list due to the need of a full-time HR support in Southern Nevada. Decision Unit E328 on page 26, the governor recommends one new unclassified chief of enforcement position, which the office refers to as an enforcement attorney for the Las Vegas office. The office indicates it currently has an enforcement attorney position that acts as the legal counsel to bring administrative and civil actions. According to the office, having only one enforcement attorney position limited its ability to engage in enforcement actions and hold fraudulent customers accountable. The new position would support administrative cases for violations of Chapter 90 of NRS related to securities that will be heard by the division hearing officer. The office indicates this recommendation is number 6 on its priority list to allow the office to conduct more administration and civil actions and align the office's legal counsel resources with other states with similar population size and securities oversight needs. Moving on to page 27, through Decision Unit E306 and E307, the governor recommends one new IT technician position in fiscal year 26 for the Carson City office and one new IT technician position in fiscal year 27 for the Las Vegas office to provide desktop service support and IT technical support to all office employees and contract staff. During the budget hearing, the office indicated it has multiple applications that are in development, such as Project Orion and the VREMS project, and needs system maintenance and monitoring. If Project Orion and the VREMS projects are completed, the office indicates it will still require the 2 IT technician positions due to the ongoing needs for system maintenance. The office has listed this recommendation as number 7 and 8 on its priority list. I would just note that Decision Unit E307 includes operating and equipment costs that do not align with the start date of the position, so staff would also recommend technical adjustments to correct that error. At the bottom of page 27 is Decision Unit E304. The governor recommends one new program officer position for the Carson City office to act as a travel coordinator and trainer in the accounting division and develop and implement a travel training program to align with the state and office's travel policy. The office indicates the implementation of the VREMS and Project Orion brought a large number of contractors, many of whom are required to travel frequently to implement those 2 system projects. And since these contractors are not state employees, they require training to ensure they comply with the office's travel policies. Additionally, SB 54 of the 2023 legislative session requires the Office of the Secretary of State to provide a training course to each county and city clerk related to elections procedures and reimburse the county or city for the costs incurred to attend those trainings. During the budget hearing, the office testified it conducted a county clerk conference in December of 2024, which had 78 attendees, bringing all clerk administrators and county clerks from all over the state together in one place to discuss the recently concluded election, any latest developments, and regulations related to elections, and as well as lawsuits related to elections. The office utilized contract positions and multiple office staff to process approximately 208 documents for the 78 conference attendees. The office indicates the recommendation for a one new program officer position is number 9 on its priority list to ensure accounting processes are completed timely and efficiently. Page 28 is Decision Unit E311. The governor recommends one new supervisory compliance investigator position in fiscal year 26 and one new compliance investigator position in fiscal year 27 in the Carson City office to ensure businesses are operating in compliance with relevant laws, regulations, and licensing requirements. The office indicates the volume of investigation cases has continually increased and currently has a backlog of 91 cases. The table on page 9 provides the total number of investigation cases received by the office in fiscal year 23 and fiscal year 24 and projected for fiscal year 25 through fiscal year 27. The office indicates the recommendation for one new supervisory compliance investigator position and one new compliance investigator position is number 10 on its priority list, and if approved, the office could possibly conduct proactive investigations to make sure business owners are operating with an active license and proactively investigate on non-compliance in sections and statutes that are not currently enforced. Decision Unit E311 includes travel, operating, and equipment costs that do not align with the start date of the position, so staff would also recommend technical adjustments on that as shown on page 29. Moving on to page 30, Decision Unit E325, the governor recommends 3 new administrative assistant positions in fiscal year 26 and 1 new administrative assistant position in fiscal year 27 to address an increase in workload in the notary division. The office indicates that previously the notary team consisted of 4 positions and was unable to keep up with the workload, which created a backlog. According to the office, it currently has 4 staff, and with the help of 4 contract staff managing the incoming requests and applications, it was able to eliminate the backlog. Further, the processing times were reduced to a standard 2 to 4 week turnaround. Emails are answered within 72 hours, and phone call wait times were reduced to 8 minutes. The recommendation for additional positions will allow the division to maintain the progress it has made and improve the services provided to customers. The office indicates that this recommendation is number 11 on its priority list. And this decision unit also includes operating and equipment costs that do not align with the start date of one of the position. So staff would also recommend technical adjustments of that as shown on page 30. Through decision unit E312, the governor recommends 1 new supervisory business process analyst position in the Carson City office to support implementing and maintaining various applications in the elections division. Based on the office's testimony during the budget hearing, the existing business process analyst position is currently overseeing 29 system applications and will add 5 more applications with the implementation of the VRAMS project. The office indicates that the workload of that existing business process analyst exceeds its capacity, and if this new supervisory business process analyst position is approved, it will assist with the oversight of system maintenance and user enhancements. The office indicates this recommendation is number 13 on its list to ensure election-related duties are effective and efficient. The middle page of page 31, Decision Unit E320, the governor recommends 1 new administrative assistant position to act as the office manager in the Las Vegas office. Currently, administrative tasks are distributed among various team members. The office indicates a new office manager dedicated to the Las Vegas office would streamline administrative processes, provide a central point of contact for office-related inquiries and issues, enhance operation efficiency, and improve administrative support. The office indicates this recommendation is number 14 on its priority list to allow existing staff to focus on their duties and responsibilities. Moving on to page 32, Decision Units E323 and E324, the governor recommends 1 new administrative assistant position and 1 new compliance investigator position in the Las Vegas office to support the compliance team in the preparation division. The office indicates that it integrated the notary division's investigator responsibilities into the compliance unit within the preparation division, which included over 36,456 registered notaries, which increased the investigative scope, thus increasing the workload in investigating instances of fraud and imposing fines related to notary. If the recommendation for 1 new administrative assistant position and 1 new compliance investigator position is approved, it would allow for a dedicated and specialized compliance team focused on notary investigations. The office placed this recommendation as number 15 and 16 on its priority list. Through Decision Unit E330, the governor recommends one new administrative assistant position for the Las Vegas office to support the development and implementation of investor education programs in the state of Nevada and provide administrative support for the Securities Division. The office indicates the existing chief investigator positions are currently performing numerous administrative tasks, and the new administrative position, if approved, will take over those administrative responsibilities. The office had listed this recommendation as number 17 on its priority list. Moving on to page 33, Decision Unit E321, the governor recommends 5 new administrative assistant positions, which the office refers to as the customer engagement agent positions in fiscal year 26 for the Las Vegas office. These positions would allow the office to respond to emails within a week and improve its customer service. The other decision unit, E322, the governor recommends additional 5 new administrative assistant positions, which the office refers to as business service agent positions in fiscal year 27 to help businesses with the complex licensing requirements, ensuring businesses operate legally and avoid potential penalties or fines for non-compliance. While the office believes these positions would lead to improved customer service, the office indicates it could maintain the current level of staffing and service by streamlining its systems and processes through Project Orion. Accordingly, the office has placed the recommendation for these 10 new administrative assistant positions as numbers 35 and 36 on its priority list. Decision Unit E322 includes operating and equipment costs that do not align with the start date of the position, so staff would also recommend technical adjustments as shown on page 34. So the decision for the committee is, do the committees wish to approve general fund appropriations totaling $4.7 million and fee revenues of $44,451 over the 2025-27 biennium for 21 positions in fiscal year 26 and 10 new positions in fiscal year 27, and associated travel, operating, equipment, and information services expenditures with the technical adjustments noted by fiscal staff, and provide authority for fiscal staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mangoba. Are there any questions? I think that Senator Nguyen, you had a question?
Thank you. I know that you have done a lot of work to reach out to the Secretary of State's office. It's more of a comment than anything. I appreciate you getting together with them, coming up with that priority list about what things are prioritized within their office and what their needs are. I think it's just unfortunate. I know we've been having this conversation. It's like deja vu with every single agency. I know that there's a lot of need in government to keep things running efficiently and getting rid of backlog and doing those things. I am supportive of some of these new positions, especially as they relate to corresponding IT portions. I want to make sure that we have proper support to support those safety and cyber safety initiatives. I know that during the initial presentation, the Secretary of State had indicated repeatedly that the number one issue was cybersecurity. So I'm hopeful that the recommendations that we come out of here today kind of support the prioritization of that security within our systems. And so I will go ahead and just leave it at that. So more of a comment than anything, but thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, and I believe Senator Neal has a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just wondering, for Project Orion, did they calculate in this action that or activity that's happening at the local government with this multi-jurisdictional licensing? They say that they're working with the Secretary of State, but I'm wondering if that is going to potentially add in some additional costs that they didn't anticipate. was this something that was discussed that's rolled into this budget for Project Orion as they move to develop the system over the past couple of years?
J. Marie Mangoa, for the record, it is staff's understanding that the Secretary of State the governor recommended a one-shot appropriations to provide additional funding to continue the implementation of the Project Orion. As to whether that particular aspect that you mentioned is incorporated in that, I don't have that specific details, but as far as I know, they are intending to seek additional funding to continue that implementation.
Madam Chair, can I follow up?
Please.
Thank you for that answer. I have a separate question. So on the notary side of this Secretary of State's budget, I'm also wondering, was there a conversation about trying to, in the notes, scale up when they were saying in the notes that they were doing focusing on specific types of cases? In our current environment with stocks and people wanting to pull out, like most, if you're trying to close a stock or pull it out, there's a medallion notary, and that actually is on the paperwork, but it doesn't actually exist anymore in the state of Nevada in regards to someone being able to do a medallion notary, which is the highest form in order for you to then go to company X and say, I need to close this account and then move these stocks over. Was that anything that is even being addressed? I mean, because in the current fate of the stock market, I can just see a lot of people wanting to close out accounts potentially, and then the state doesn't actually have that type of notary to do that form. I mean, I'm just asking, like, was that one of the specific cases that they might be focusing on? Because that's like a legit concern.
For the record, J. Marie Mangoba. In the governor's recommended budget is a recommendation for a compliance investigator and an administrative assistant position specific to conduct investigation for notaries. As to the specific of what they are investigating, I do not have that information, but I can certainly follow up with the Secretary of State as to the details of what type of cases they are currently investigating.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any additional questions from the committee? Okay, seeing none, then I'll go next to, for a motion from Assemblymember Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the dialogue from our colleagues on this committee, and I appreciate the list, especially the priority list from the Secretary of State's office. It's a very long list, very aggressive, but we also know the times that we're in right now budgetarily, and what we have to do as a body is make the best fiscal decision we feel we can and give the agencies the manpower that they need to effectively do the jobs that they're tasked to do. So with that, Madam Chair, I move to approve general fund appropriations of $1.2 million over the 25-27 biennium, inclusive of technical adjustments noted by the fiscal staff for the following positions recommendations. Decision Unit E309 for one new Master IT professional position. Decision Unit E316 for one IT manager and one IT professional position. Decision Unit E300 for one new personnel analyst position. Decision Unit E306 for one IT technician position for the Carson City office. Decision Unit E307 for one IT technician position for the Las Vegas office. And Decision Unit E304 for one program officer position. I further move that we not approve the following position recommendations resulting in general fund savings of $3.5 million and reduce the fee revenues of $44,451 over the 25-27 biennium. And that would be in decision E327 for one financial analyst position, E300 for one personnel technician position, E328 for one chief of enforcement position, E311 for one supervisory compliance investigator and one compliance investigator position, E325 for 4 administrative assistance positions, E312 for one business process analyst position, E320 for one administrative assistant position, E324 for one compliance investigator position, E323 for one administrative assistant position, E330 for one administrative assistant position, E321 for 5 administrative assistance positions, and E322 for 5 administrative assistance positions. Lastly, I move to provide fiscal staff the authority to make any other technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you, Assemblymember Monroe Moreno. A second from Senator Nguyen. And is there any discussion on this particular motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries, and we will move on. Thank you, Ms. Magoma. I know that was a lot of reading. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To continue, on page 35 is the major closing issue number 2. The governor recommends general fund appropriations of $1.5 million over the 2025-27 biennium for various IT and software maintenance contract expenditures. The governor's recommendation would continue funding for IT, software, and software maintenance and contract expenditures that were incurred during the 2023-24 interim to improve the services and daily operations of the Office of the Secretary of State. During the budget hearing, the committee members asked the office to prioritize all enhancement decision units in the governor's recommended budget. In response, the office provided the IT and software maintenance contracts in priority order as shown on the table on page 37. The office indicates the consequence of not approving the software program for staff training in Decision Unit E332 would be a lack of professional development and sustainment of technical skills for staff in a rapidly changing IT environment. Additionally, according to the office, if the recommendation for various IT and software maintenance contracts in Decision Unit E349 is not approved, the office would be unable to validate voter addresses, upgrade software servers, provide efficient management of customer appointments, which would result in longer customer wait times, provide technical and operational support for aging systems, and would not be able to provide secure website systems and credit card transactions. According to the office, if the recommendation for the Java SE software license renewal, which you could see in Decision Unit E334, if it's not approved, the office will not be able to perform coding or fixes in Silver Flume, which would hinder their ability to collect revenues. If the recommendation for a crypto tracing tool in Decision Unit E339 is not approved, the office indicates it will not be able to conduct investigations for lost cryptocurrency. NRS 293.394 requires the office to conduct risk-limiting audits of elections, and if the recommendation for contract services in Decision Unit E310 is not approved, the office indicates it would have to find other methods to conduct risk-limiting audits, including the potential of internal development of a replacement application prior to the 2026 election cycle, or risk the inability to validate the integrity of elections. The decision is on page 38. Do the committees wish to approve the following? Decision Unit E332, which recommends general fund appropriations of $790 over the 2025-27 biennium for software programs to train employees with software development, cybersecurity, and technology. This is priority number 3. Decision Unit E349, which recommends general fund appropriations of $1.3 million over the 2025-27 biennium for various software and IT support for the VREMS project, appointment scheduling, accounting system, business licensing system, fraud detections, and a portfolio manager services, which the office had listed as priority number 18. And Decision Unit E334, which recommends general fund appropriations of $70,000 over the 2025-27 biennium for a Java SE software license renewal, which the office had prioritized as number 19. And Decision Unit E339, which recommends general fund appropriations of $29,998 over the 2025-27 biennium for a crypto tracing tool for fraud investigations, which had been listed as priority number 20 by the office. And Decision Unit E310, which recommends general fund appropriations of $41,492 over the 2025-27 biennium for contract services that provide software and remote support for post-election tabulation audits and to validate election outcomes. This has been ranked as priority number 27.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this item? All right, Senator Nguyen.
I know that the Secretary of State's office, if I can just clarify, I think they withdrew one of these budget items that was contained in the original proposal. Can you clarify which one that was? I believe it was the Portfolio Manager Services. Is that correct?
For the record, J. Marie Mangoba. So in follow-up communication with the Secretary of State, they've indicated that there is a portfolio manager services, which you could see on page 37 above Decision Unit E334 for $439,297 over the biennium. They've indicated that they want that out of that E349 deck unit, which is prioritized as number 18. They want it as a priority number 32.
Thank you. And then secondarily, within E349, there is $43,502 over the biennium for GIS map data software and IT support for the new VREMS project. And they currently have some significant one-shot funding already proposed for the VREMS project. Is that correct?
J. Marie Mangoba, for the record, that is correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? All right, seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve general fund appropriations of $1 million over the 25-27 biennium for the following recommendations. Decision Unit E332 for software programs to train employees with software development, cybersecurity, and technology. Decision Unit E349 excluding the GIS map data software and IT support for the new voter registration and elections management system, also known as VREMS, project, and the Portfolio Manager Service, reducing general fund appropriations by $482,799 over the 25-27 biennium. Decision Unit E334 for Java SE software license renewal. Decision Unit E339 for a crypto tracing tool for fraud investigations, and E310 for contract services that provide software and remote support for post-election tabulation audits and to validate elections outcomes. And finally, that we provide fiscal staff the authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Monroe Moreno. I'll take a second from Senator Nguyen. Is there any discussion on this particular motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes, and we will move on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On page 39 are the other closing items. There are 15 other closing items, and fiscal staff recommends the other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for fiscal staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. I'll accept, any discussion? I'll accept a motion.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I move that we approve this decision unit as stated by staff.
Motion by Assemblymember Monroe Moreno, second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
So continue to...
I'm sorry, Ms. Mangoba. Please continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, for the record, J. Marie Mangoba. The next budget on page 43 is the closing document for the Secretary of State Help America Vote Act election reform budget account. This budget account have not been reviewed by the committee, and fiscal staff is responsible for developing recommendations for this budget account. The Secretary of State's HAVA election reform budget account was created for the receipt and expenditures of federal and state funds to implement the provisions of the Federal Help America Vote Act of 2002. There are no major closing issues. There are 3 other closing items, as you can see on page 43. Fiscal staff recommends the other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and request authority for fiscal staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on this? I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and give our authority to the fiscal staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
Thank you very much. Assemblymember Monroe Moreno made the motion, second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. And now, Ms. Mangoba, thank you very much. I got ahead of myself. I think that completes the Secretary of State. And so we will move on to the Public Employees Retirement System, and we'll stay with you. You're not done yet. And committee members, please turn to page 45 of the packet and go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, for the record, J. Marie Mangoba. Now I will discuss the closing document for the Public Employees Retirement System's administrative budget, which starts on page 45, and this budget was heard on February 10th, 2025. There are 2 major closing issues. The first major closing issue is the recommendation of administrative fees of $10.3 million in fiscal year 26 and $807,622 in fiscal year 27 to continue funding the replacement of the system's pension administration system and other various replacement equipment. Funding for the new pension administration system was first approved by the 2019 legislature to address issues PERS was experiencing in calculating benefits and fulfilling information requests. During the 2023 legislative session, PERS testified it estimated total project cost of $23.5 million and anticipates a completion date of January 29, 2025. However, based on the most recent status report, the PERS board approved a revision to the project end date to now June 30 of 2026, which according to PERS would increase the total project cost by no more than $4.2 million due to the additional programming changes resulting from the increased contribution rates for the 2023-25 biennium. And also, the reason for the increase in costs is modification that were proposed by stakeholders to streamline employer reporting processing. So the table that staff had provided on page 46 provides the revised project schedule and the associated costs as provided by PERS. Based on the status report, the system is currently implementing Phase 3 and Phase 4 simultaneously, which include gathering requirements, reviewing process and documentations, testing functionality, and transitioning and training employers to the new system. To continue monitoring the status of the pension administration system project throughout the 2025-27 biennium, the committees may wish to consider issuing a letter of intent requesting the system to submit a report at each meeting of the Interim Retirement and Benefits Committee with the following information as shown on page 47. An update on the pension administration system project implementation and plan and project timelines, an overview of the activities of the pension administration system vendor, a list of project deliverables received and anticipated for the next reporting period and any deliverables that are behind schedule, an update on the plan to train existing staff on the system, and lastly, a status report from the project management oversight company on how the project is progressing. The decision for the committee is on page 47. Do the committees wish to approve administrative fees of $10.3 million in fiscal year 26 and $807,622 in fiscal year 27 to continue funding the replacement of the system's pension administration system and other various replacement equipment costs? In addition, do the committees wish to issue a letter of intent requesting the system report at each meeting of the Interim Retirement and Benefits Committee the status of the system replacement?
Thank you very much. Any questions on this? I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve administrative fees of $10.3 million in FY26 and $807,622 in FY27 to continue funding the replacement of the system's pension administrative system and other various replacement equipment costs. In addition, issue a letter of intent requesting the system's report to each meeting of the Interim Retirement and Benefits Committee the status of the system's replacement.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'll accept a second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much, and we'll move on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The second major issue, which you can find at the bottom of page 47, is a recommendation of administrative fees of $481,887 over the 2025-27 biennium to support the salaries and benefits of 4 new classified positions: an auditor position, a retirement examiner position, a retirement technician position, and an accountant technician position, as well as operating expenditures associated with those 4 positions. According to the system, 4 new positions are recommended to address an increase in workload due to continued increase in the number of active members, retirees, and benefit recipients. So staff had provided a table on top of page 48 that provides the actual number of PERS active members, benefit recipients, and public employers in fiscal year 24 and projected for fiscal year 25 through fiscal year 27. During the budget hearing, PERS provided testimony regarding its need for the proposed retirement technician, retirement examiner, auditor, and accountant technician positions. According to PERS, the retirement technician positions operate as call centers, which receives a significant number of phone calls. The recommendation for a new retirement technician position would allow the agency to streamline phone calls and provide information to members and retirees in a timely fashion. Additionally, PERS indicated the new retirement examiner position would provide in-person counseling services to members and retirees and provide customer service for walk-in customers, which would assist in reducing the wait times currently experienced by members seeking assistance in planning for their retirement. With regards to the auditor position, the PERS testified that it strives to audit public employers on a 3-year rotation based on the 3-year average compensation. Currently, there is only 1 staff member dedicated to conduct these audits, and as such, PERS has had challenges meeting the 3-year rotation goal. The new auditor position will make the public employer audit workload more manageable and would perform final benefit and optional benefit audits. Lastly, the accountant technician position would address the increase in caseload and complexity of managing agency contribution deposits, reconciliations, and employer-specific queries. With that, the decision for the committee is shown on the top of page 50. Do the committees wish to approve administrative fees of $481,887 over the 2025-27 biennium to support the salaries and benefits of 4 classified positions: 1 auditor position, a retirement examiner position, a retirement technician position, and an accountant technician position, as well as operating expenditures associated with those 4 positions?
Thank you very much. Any questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve this decision unit as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. I'll accept a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lastly, on this budget, there are 5 other closing items, and staff would just note the recommended technical adjustments on other closing items 4 and 5 related to the software maintenance contracts and rent expenses as shown on page 50. Fiscal staff recommends other closings item 1, 2, and 3 be closed as recommended by the system, and other closing items 4 and 5 be closed with the recommended technical adjustments to a software maintenance contract and utility expenditures, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this part? Thank you very much. I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the other closing items as stated by staff and give staff the authority to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. And a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right. You're excused. Thank you very much. And with that, that brings us to our last budget closing on our agenda today, the Department of Native American Affairs. We'll switch our staff again, and Ms. Johnston will join us. Committee members, we'll start on page 53 of the packet. Ms. Johnston, go ahead when you are ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committees, Nicolette Johnston, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Today I'll be presenting the Department of Native American Affairs. The first budget account is the Indian Commission, budget account 2600. This budget was previously heard on March 17th, and this begins on page 53. There are 2 major closing issues. The first major closing issue pertains to fiscal and information technology services. The governor recommends $226,800 over the 25-27 biennium in general fund appropriations for fiscal services and information technology support costs associated with the Department of Native American Affairs becoming a standalone agency. Pursuant to AB 516, the Nevada Indian Commission transitioned from the Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs to a standalone agency on July 1st, 2024. And the department needs funding for fiscal and IT support from cost-allocated state agency services. Prior to becoming the standalone agency, fiscal and IT support was provided by the agency by the Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs. The department indicates that services provided from the ASD and the OCIO were necessary beginning in FY 2025. Through Decision Unit E 300, general fund appropriations of approximately $108,000 in each year of the upcoming biennium are recommended to continue these fiscal services provided by the ASD. And through Decision Unit E 301, general fund appropriations of approximately $5,000 in each year are recommended for this IT support through the OCIO to provide technical database support and Silvernet access services for connection to IT applications and internet access. The department began utilizing these OCIO services in September 2024 and has since evaluated its equipment and IT service needs. And on April 1st, the department, along with the Department of Administration, ASD, informed fiscal staff that additional funding is also needed for OCIO services that were not included in the governor's recommended budget, which includes PC LAN services, agency IT services, and annual maintenance for the department's website. So fiscal staff recommends technical adjustments to add these costs, which would increase general fund appropriations by $45,144 over the 25-25 biennium for these services. The decision for the full committee is on page 54. Do the committees wish to approve general fund appropriations of $271,944 over the 25-27 biennium for fiscal services and information technology support costs associated with the department becoming a standalone agency, inclusive of the technical adjustments noted by fiscal staff?
Thank you very much. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve this decision unit as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Please go on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nicolette Johnston. The second major issue relates to the ARPA Grants to Tribes program. The governor's recommended budget does not include authority in the 25-27 biennium for the Grants to Tribes program, which is funded with the previously awarded allocation of America Rescue Plan Act Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Funds. Although these ARPA Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Funds previously allocated subgrants and have been obligated through grant agreements to the tribes, $9.6 million remains to be expended. As background, $20 million in these ARPA funds was allocated to the Nevada Indian Commission at the October 20th 2022 Interim Finance Committee meeting to distribute subgrants to Nevada's 28 Native American tribes. And additionally, the IFC allocated approximately $524,000 in ARPA Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Funds for contract staff in FY 2024 and FY 2025 to assist the agency in administering the Grants to Tribe program. This funding was divided with a share of approximately $714,000 to each of Nevada's 28 tribes. The agency reported that several tribes have requested extensions on their project completion dates due to weather or other construction delays, but they are working to complete these projects. And those projects are summarized on page 55. Decision Unit E499 would remove $261,992 in each year of the 25-27 biennium built into the base budget for contract employees, leaving zero in ARPA Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Funds for grant administration and zero included for these administrative costs as well. During the budget hearing, the department indicated it has expended approximately $10 million and confirmed that 4 tribal nations have spent their entire award of the $715,000, and a transfer of $4.5 million to this budget account was processed on March 25th, and the department intends to award subgrants from that transfer to 6 more tribal subgrants, projected to be completed by the end of June 2025, and this would leave approximately $5.5 million in remaining authority to be spent. The department anticipated expending all the ARPA funding by December 31st, 2026, and as previously noted, Decision Unit E499 would remove all the ARPA Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Funds authority for the Grants to Tribes program in the governor's recommended budget for the upcoming biennium. The department stated it would need to retain its contract grant management analyst and budget analyst position beyond FY 2025 to continue working until the tribal projects are completed and closed. Based on the updated budget projections provided by the department on April 8th, authority of $4.8 million in FY 2026, inclusive of the $124,651 for administrative costs, and $754,551 in FY 2027 is projected to be needed for the Grants to Tribes program. Fiscal staff recommends technical adjustments to include that budgetary authority of $4.8 million in FY 2026 and $754,551 in FY 2027 for the Grants to Tribes program. Do the committees wish to approve ARPA Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Funds budgetary authority of $4.8 million in FY 2026, inclusive of $124,651 for administrative contract costs and $754,511 in FY 2027 for continued support of the Grants to Tribe program based on agency projections, and provide fiscal staff with authority to make technical adjustments to the base budget and/or Decision Unit E499 as necessary.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve this decision unit as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We can move on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nicolette Johnston. There are two other closing items, and fiscal staff recommends the other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve all other closing items to be closed as recommended by the governor and give authority to the staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. And I'll take a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries, and we will move on. Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nicolette Johnston. The next budget account on page 59, and this was previously heard on March 17th as well, is the Stewart Indian School Living Legacy, budget account 2601. There is one major closing issue, which is expenditures for the education coordinator and associated programming. The governor recommends total funding of $37,052, of which $22,544 in general fund and $14,508 in room tax revenue over the upcoming biennium for costs related to educational outreach, programming, conferences, and travel to support the education coordinator to perform their duties in educating the community about the Stewart Indian School Cultural Center and Museum. The education coordinator position, approved by the 82nd 2023 legislature, requires additional costs that were not included in the base budget for operating supplies, travel, and related expenses to provide sufficient educational programming, to provide visitors with opportunities to learn about the culture of Nevada's tribal nations and share the history of the Stewart Indian School. As background, this educational coordinator position was approved by the 82nd 2023 legislature to manage the programs offered by the Stewart Indian School Cultural Center. However, this associated funding was not included in the base budget. The table on page 60 displays the recommended expenditures in the base budget recommending enhancement revisions, total amount, and the percentage change for these expenditure categories affected by those recommendations. During the budget hearing, the agency confirmed that a majority of its requests pertain to supplies for the educational classes, and increasing the travel budget is vital to provide information about educational opportunities that are available to the public, tribal citizens, and elders. The department indicated it intends to provide relevant curriculum on the history and contemporary lives of the Great Basin tribes and be taught in public schools. If the recommended travel budget is approved, the education coordinator would establish a presence in classrooms statewide. Additionally, out-of-state travel expenses would provide the opportunity for the education coordinator position to attend the Indian Education for All Conference in Montana and the California Conference on American Indian Education in Sacramento, and learn best practices to collaborate with Indian educators. The decision at the top of page 61 is, do the committees wish to approval of $37,052, $22,544 in general fund, and $14,508 in room tax revenue over the 25-27 biennium for costs related to educational outreach, programming, conferences, and travel to support the education coordinator in educating the community about the history of the Stewart Indian School and Nevada tribal nations as recommended by the governor.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this subject? Not seeing any, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve this decision unit as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Assemblymember Monroe Moreno, I'll take a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. And on to the next one. One last.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nicolette Johnston. There are 5 other closing items. I would note other closing item 4 pertains to a funding source change in which the governor recommends the addition of approximately $758,000 in general fund appropriations and the elimination of $775,000 in room tax revenue and $16,678 in statewide cost allocation plan charges over the 25-27 biennium to replace room tax revenue with general fund appropriations as the funding source for this budget. However, this was not approved yesterday in the Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs budget on April 11th in the Joint Subcommittee on General Government. So this decision unit is contingent upon approval of that decision unit E542 in the Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs budget account 1520. Also, other closing item 5 addresses the additional technical adjustments for IT services that were also identified in the Nevada Indian Commission account, and this is for the SilverNet, PC LAN, and agency IT services, and that's approximately $10,000 over the biennium. So fiscal staff recommends other closing items 1 through 3 be closed as recommended by the governor. Other closing item 4 be closed consistent with the committee's closing action of decision unit E542 in the Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs Administration budget account. Other closing item 5 be closed with the noted technical adjustments and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Any discussion on this motion, on this subject, I'm sorry? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that all other closing items be closed as stated by staff.
Thank you very much, Assembly Member. I'll take the second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. Johnston, for joining us today, and thank you for your time. And with that, members, we'll now move to subcommittee reports. First on the agenda is the Department of Taxation, so I'll invite Ms. Morris to the table to present the Joint Subcommittee on General Government's closing recommendations for the Department of Taxation.
Give us a second to hand these out to their hot.
And our favorite paper distributor is at his best today. Okay, I think everybody has a copy of what we need, so please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nancy Morris, Fiscal Analysis Division. I will be presenting the Joint Subcommittee on General Government Closing Report for the Department of Taxation. The Joint Subcommittee on General Government completed its review of the budget for the Department of Taxation. The closing recommendations of the subcommittee result in a general fund increase of $326,204 in fiscal year 26 and $210,116 in fiscal year 27. The subcommittee recommended approval of the following closing actions. Department of Taxation, Budget Account 2361, to reflect authorized funds that were expended for the replacement of the department's unified tax system, the subcommittee recommended approval of reductions in American Rescue Plan Act Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Funds Authority of $18.4 million in fiscal year 26 and $21.5 million in fiscal year 27. In addition, the subcommittee recommended approval of retaining ARPA expenditure authority of $3.1 million in fiscal year 26 to continue the implementation of the replacement of the department's unified tax system and issuing a letter of intent instructing the department to provide semi-annual reports to the Interim Finance Committee on the status of the project. Instead of approving the governor's recommendation to add 2 new unclassified general counsel positions in the Department of Taxation budget account, the subcommittee recommended approval of Budget Amendment A257612361 to add general fund appropriations of $182,798 in fiscal year 26 and $413,480 in fiscal year 27 for transfers to the Attorney General's Office administrative budget account to support 2 new senior deputy attorney general positions dedicated to the Department of Taxation, contingent upon corresponding actions by the money committees when closing the Attorney General's administrative budget account. The subcommittee recommended approval of the governor's recommendations for 1 new tax manager position and 2 new training officer positions funded with general fund appropriations of $142,648 in fiscal year 26 and $320,132 in fiscal year '27. Instead of recommending approval of the governor's recommendation for general fund appropriations of $431,661 over the 2025-27 biennium for increased travel and training expenses for the department, the subcommittee recommended approval of tobacco license fees of $6,080 and general fund appropriations of $290,463 over the 2025-27 biennium. Finally, the subcommittee recommended approval of all other closing items as recommended by the governor with technical adjustments and authority for fiscal staff to make additional technical adjustments as necessary. This recommendation by the subcommittee included a recommendation to approve Budget Amendment A256132361, which adds general fund appropriations of $351,458 in fiscal '26 and $363,487 in fiscal '27 for rent for the department's Reno office location, which was inadvertently omitted from the governor's recommended budget. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? Thank you very much. And with that, I will accept a motion to approve the report.
So moved.
Thank you, Assemblymember Monroe Moreno, second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. And with that, we will move on to Mr. Yakovlev, and we'll welcome him to the table for K-12 Higher Ed CIP, and you will get more paper from our favorite paper hander-outer. Thank you very much. All right, with that, Mr. Yakovlev, go ahead.
All right, good morning. For the record, Yuri Yakovlev, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. I'll be presenting the Joint Subcommittee on K-12 Higher Education CIP closing report for the State Public Charter School Authority. The Subcommittee on K-12 Higher Education CIP has completed its review of the State Public Charter School Authority budget accounts for the 2025-27 biennium. The following describes the more significant recommendations of the subcommittee. First is the authority's main budget account 2711. The subcommittee did not recommend approval of the governor's recommendation for one new education programs professional position funded with reserve reductions of $206,271 over the 2025-27 biennium to support sponsored charter schools with the implementation of multi-tiered systems of support. However, the subcommittee approved the governor's recommendation for the 5 remaining positions recommended in Decision Unit E125, which included one new education programs director position to establish a unit responsible for monitoring and evaluating charter schools, one new management analyst position to support new and struggling schools, one new management analyst position to process applications, one new management analyst position to implement a program to assist charter schools with Medicaid enrollment, and one new education programs professional position to ensure compliance with special education requirements, with associated operating costs inclusive of noted technical adjustments to eliminate overstated operating expenses and funded with reserve reductions of $1.2 million over the 2025-27 biennium. The subcommittee did not recommend approval of the governor's recommendation in Decision Unit E126 for one new education program supervisor position, funded with reserve reductions of $122,813 in fiscal year 2027 to supervise site evaluations. However, the subcommittee recommended approval of the other education programs professional position recommended by the governor in Decision Unit E126, to support school performance plans and career and technical education activities with associated operating costs inclusive of technical adjustments to eliminate overstated operating expenses and funded with reserve reductions of $366,683 over the 2025-27 biennium. The subcommittee recommended not approving one new education programs professional position to support sponsored charter schools with the implementation of multi-tiered systems of support, funded with reserve reductions of $118,735 in fiscal year 2027, as recommended by the governor in Decision Unit E127. However, the subcommittee recommended approval of the two remaining positions recommended by the governor in Decision Unit E127, which included one new education programs professional to assist charter schools in utilizing the state's student information system and one new grants and projects analyst position for grants administration, with associated operating costs inclusive of technical adjustments to eliminate overstated operating expenses and funded with reserve reductions of $393,093 over the 2025-27 biennium. The governor's recommendation in Decision Unit E128 for one new grants and projects analyst position and two new accounting assistant positions for grants administration with associated operating costs, funded with reserve reductions of $404,447 over the 2025-27 biennium, was not recommended for approval by the subcommittee. The subcommittee supported the governor's recommendation to continue funding two existing education programs professional positions, which were established during the 2023-24 interim, to conduct site evaluations and to ensure compliance with special education requirements as recommended in Decision Unit E129, with associated operating costs inclusive of technical adjustments to eliminate overstated operating expenses, and funded with reserve reductions of $637,380 over the 2025-27 biennium. Additionally, the subcommittee requested additional information related to the number of positions in the Washoe County School District to support schools with the implementation of multi-tiered systems of support, as well as the pupil enrollment for state public charter school authority-sponsored charter schools and the Washoe County School District, and directed fiscal staff to provide this information to the Joint Full Committee. According to the Washoe County School District Staff Directory, there are 6 positions that support multi-tiered systems of support for district schools, including 1 director, 1 administrative secretary position, 2 program support positions, and 2 specialists. Additionally, the Washoe County School District reported actual enrollment of 59,543 pupils in fiscal year 2024, while the State Public Charter School Authority reported actual enrollment of 61,484 pupils in fiscal year 2024. The State Public Charter School Authority projects enrollment of 72,963 pupils in fiscal year 2026 and 75,357 pupils in fiscal year 2027, due to the authorization of 6 new charter schools and the transition of 6 existing charter schools that will no longer be sponsored by the Clark County School District starting in the 2025-26 school year. For the 2025-27 biennium, the Nevada Department of Education projects flat enrollment for school districts compared to actual enrollment counts in fiscal year 2024. According to the Washoe County School District, it supports all schools with multi-tiered systems of support. The subcommittee recommended approval of all other closing items with technical adjustments noted by fiscal staff and authorized other technical adjustments as necessary. And finally, the last budget is Budget Account 2708, the Public Charter School Loan Program. The subcommittee recommended approval of the budget account as recommended in the executive budget and authorized fiscal staff to make technical adjustments as necessary. And that concludes the report.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this? Seeing none, then I'll accept a motion to approve the report.
So moved.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Monroe Moreno, second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, the last subcommittee report on the agenda is the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency. So I'll invite Mr. Luna to the table to present that joint subcommittee on public safety, natural resources, and transportation's closing recommendations for the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency. Mr. Luna, go ahead when you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Justin Luna, for the record, Program Analyst with the Fiscal Analysis Division of the Legislative Council Bureau, and today I'll be presenting the Joint Subcommittee Closing Report for the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency. The Joint Subcommittee on Public Safety, Natural Resources, and Transportation completed its review of the budget for the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency, TRPA, for the 2025-27 biennium. The closing recommendations of the subcommittee did not result in a change in general fund appropriations when compared to the recommendations in the executive budget. Pursuant to Nevada Revised Statutes, NRS 353246, the TRPA is exempt from the provisions of the State Budget Act. The budget presented represents the budget request of the TRPA, and the closing actions reflect the agency's requested budget as recommended by the subcommittee and may differ from the recommended funding in the executive budget. The subcommittee recommended approval of the following closing actions. Tahoe Regional Planning Agency Budget Account 4204. The subcommittee recommended approval of the transfer of Department of Motor Vehicles DMV revenue of $419,021 in each year of the 2025-27 biennium. Contingent upon approval of Decision Unit E306 within the DMV Motor Vehicle Pollution Control Budget Account. Subcommittee recommended approval of one-time general fund appropriations of $250,000 in each fiscal year of the 2025-27 biennium to continue the digital conversion of the agency's hard copy files and records, with technical adjustments to add the State of California's share of the Record Scanning Revenue and Expenditure Authority. The subcommittee recommended approval to provide proportional funding for the same salary increases for TRPA staff as provided by statewide cost of living adjustments approved by the legislature for State of Nevada executive branch employees for the 2025-27 biennium. Finally, the subcommittee recommended authority to make technical adjustments as necessary. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you. I'll accept a motion. I will accept a motion for approval of the report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So moved.
Thank you very much. Assembly member, a second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Luna. Okay, this brings us to our last agenda item for the day, public comment. For those of you that are providing public comment, please remember to state and spell your name for the record and then begin your statement. To call in today to provide public comment, the dial-in number will be 888-475-4499. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, please enter 871-6654-7666 and then press pound. When prompted for the participant ID, please press pound again. I will begin here in Carson City. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment? Seeing none, I'll go to Las Vegas. It looks like an empty room. I will go to the phone lines, AVH. Is there anybody on the lines wishing to make public comment?
Thank you, Chair. The public lines are open and working. However, we have no callers at this time.
Thank you very much. That completes our agenda for today, and I'd like to thank everyone for being here on a Saturday morning. Senate Finance Committee members, you, however, as a reminder, will please make your way down to room 2135, and we will begin quickly a Senate Finance Saturday meeting. Thank you very much, and this meeting is adjourned.